editing softwares: Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, Avid, DaVinci Resolve. Like there's just so much video editing software that I can use to edit your YouTube videos. So like iMovie is for Apple, Final Cut is for Apple. You can edit them on your iPhone if you want, and then transfer them over to Apple computer and edit from there. So you just can continue from there. So I have a couple of friends from different parts of the globe just express themselves, which program them use, if they would have switch or whatsoever. So hear me say roll intro.
Adobe Premiere Pro.
Definitely Final Cut Pro.
Definitely Premiere Pro.
Final Cut Pro.
Premiere Pro.
I'm a Premiere Pro guy, straight up.
Definitely Final Cut Pro.
It's Premiere for me.
Premiere Pro, simple.
I actually use both, but I mainly use Final Cut.
Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro is what I mainly use. Well, Premiere Pro is the only software I use, really.
I'm still using Premiere Pro until this day.
But definitely Premiere Pro.
The obvious choice for me is Premiere Pro.
Premiere Pro.
Final Cut for sure.
Premiere Pro.
Easy. Premiere Pro.
Well, of course I use Premiere Pro.
And that's because I've been transitioning from iMovie to Final Cut Pro, and I found the software very easy to use. It's a beginner-friendly software to make any beginner look like a pro.
I've always grown up editing on Premiere Pro, so it's kind of innate, and like I just can't switch. Like that's the only thing I've really adventured into.
Come on, bro. Come on. All right. So, for real, around that time when I was looking for programs to edit with, like all the YouTube tutorials, a lot of them were on Premiere Pro, and the other option, Final Cut Pro, was only for people with MacBooks or the Apple Macintosh. Yeah, and I didn't have a MacBook at the time, so I said, yeah, no Final Cut Pro, let's do Premiere.
Basically, because Adobe Premiere Pro is what I started out with. I edited on an HP Windows laptop, and so you know, Final Cut Pro and HP not really, them not really mesh like that, and so definitely me just have to use the Adobe Premiere Pro.
I use Final Cut because it's easier on my workflow process, and I can start a project on my cell phone and then just continue it on my laptop or on my desktop when I get home. The ease of use is just amazing, especially if you're on the Apple ecosystem. Everything just works.
Been using Premiere Pro for about 6 years.
To be honest, I've been used to the Adobe Suite. I've been using the Adobe Suite since I'm 14. That's like over 10 years ago. I'm not that old, by the way, guys. Anyways, yeah, so I've always been able to get my way and the things that I envision in my mind, and just the usability and the controls, the shortcuts. I've just been used to the program, and really and truly it's just the comfort of the tool and using the tool efficiently and effectively and quickly, because to be honest, you don't want to be spending a lot of time in the editing room. You get me? Like editing is so stressful already. Like I work with a program that works for me. Yeah,
if you're asking why Premiere Pro, it's really just because it reached first. Yeah, I was using Sony Vegas when I was learning to first edit, and then when I got tired of Sony Vegas and wanted to level up to something, I was on Windows. So the only option really at the time was Premiere and Avid, and Avid seemed complicated as ever, and Premiere seemed easy to understand, and I was using other Adobe software, so I said, alright, cool, let me just get that. And it was a great experience, and I'm still using it now. I'm on Apple, and I got the opportunity to use and try Final Cut, and I've even edited a music video with Final Cut, but I'm still on Premiere Pro, and that's what I prefer.
It's like it's pretty easy to find anything that you'd want to learn about Premiere Pro online. There's endless tutorials about anything you might have questions about, and It's pretty easy to learn. The feature set is pretty good.
I would choose Final Cut Pro because it's what I'm used to using. It's what I first learned how to use, and I think it's very easy to learn how to use. You know, you have your titles in one area, transitions in one area, your different programs, and it's very organized in my opinion. Another thing that I really like about Final Cut Pro is that if you make a cut here in a timeline or a clip, take out this part, it automatically joins back the clips, saving you time in editing and saving you money.
Premiere Pro because that's how I started editing. That's where I learned to edit. I learned to edit on Premiere Pro, and it's like second nature to me now. So it's just what I use, and it's very effective. I like what I do with Premiere Pro.
Put it this way, I started out using Premiere Pro a long time ago, but after a while I didn't really like how the interface was. I didn't like how it was very glitchy and thing, and so I switched to Sony Vegas Pro. After that I switched from PC to Mac, and then I tried out Final Cut Pro for the first time, and I really liked how easy it was to use. It was more simplified and the interface looked better, it felt better, and everything was just smoother. Now I still have Premiere Pro on my computer, you know, but I rarely ever use it, and I doubt I'll use it in the future because I've already paid for a number of plugins for Final Cut Pro that I'm now using. I feel like I can create my vision with Premiere Pro because when I'm out there shooting, I can just see the way I'll be editing my footage in my head before I even come home, and Premiere Pro is just my go-to.
One, I believe that Premiere is more, I don't know if you use the word accessible, but more persons online are using Premiere because it's basically a part of the creative suite, and if you're a graphic artist or designer, most likely you'll already be familiar with Photoshop and stuff like that, and the tools are very similar to that.
The reason why I use Premiere Pro and the reason why I think that it's a good entry-level program, but also it has its advantages, is that it has a feature called Adobe Dynamic Link, and how that works is if I have a piece of footage in Premiere Pro, I can bring it over into After Effects, do my compositing, my motion design, and then I can save that in After Effects, and that piece of footage will go back into Premiere Pro so that I don't have to be doing that motion design work in After Effects independently. Like, to me, that's an invaluable asset, especially as somebody who's trying to learn VFX and who does a lot of compositing work. It definitely saves time.
I mean, personally, the software used to edit your videos isn't that important. I mean, the main difference for me for Premiere Pro and Final Cut is that Final Cut is Mac based and Premiere is more universal. I actually have experience in both. I started off using Final Cut Pro. I transitioned to Premiere Pro because I left the Apple interface and I went over to Windows. And personally, I mean, I used to have a few hiccups with Final Cut in the sense where it was very CPU intensive, and I had a fairly good CPU, and it was still giving me a little problems. I mean, now as a more, you know, seasoned professional in the game, I can see where, you know, the more powerful computers don't have that problem, but Premiere Pro tends to work better on lower tier laptops or MacBooks, so it was easier for me to edit videos while using Premiere Pro. I think the main selling point for me for Premiere Pro right now is collaboration. At the end of the day, I can save a project, I can share it with someone else. You know, I can share it with even an Apple user that also uses Premiere Pro. While Final Cut Pro, the Apple interface tends to be a little bit more, what you want to say, closed off. So yeah, I personally prefer Premiere Pro to just be able to like access any project between, you know, most editors that I come in contact with. And for Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro, you know, there's going to be like that level of exclusivity. But I mean, overall, they're both good softwares that you can use to edit videos, and the main thing is to just shoot your videos and get them out there.
The reason I use Premiere Pro, I mean, when I just got introduced to videography and editing, the only software I was taught was Premiere Pro. That's what I did in school. I did when I was at work. Where I work though, they introduced me also to Premiere Pro. That's what everybody uses. I've heard about Final Cut, but I have never used Final Cut before. I probably learned one day. I heard it's amazing, but for me, it's just Premiere Pro because the I guess the learning curve for me for Final Cut is I'm just not ready for that. So Premiere Pro all the way for me right now.
I'm an Apple user who uses everything Apple, so I started out using iMovie and then gradually transitioned into Final Cut Pro, and I found it to be, you know, much more seamless to do that, to go that path, than to try and learn a whole different interface, which would have been Premiere Pro. I have used both, and I think I prefer Final Cut, also because it's preset based, and for someone like me who juggles a 9-to-5 and a creative world, I don't have all the time to go and learn the things from the basic and to do all the nitty-gritty that Premiere Pro requires. You can just get a preset, plug and play, and good to go. So I just stick to Final Cut.
Premiere Pro is very good at handling files. It is very easy to use, especially because it is attached to the rest of the Adobe suite, so I can use Photoshop and other softwares that are on that suite and have it connected using Adobe Bridge.
I don't think so. Like, I don't think I'm really willing to learn another program, but I have tried Final Cut, but it just seems like a whole different learning curve. But I've also tried other minor editing programs on the iPad.
Is because I just find Final Cut Pro very natural to use. Again, because I first learned how to use it, everything is just so natural to me. And what I can edit on Final Cut Pro that takes me 2 hours will take me 3 to 4 hours on Premiere Pro. One reason why I kind of do want to switch, however, is that I could use my PC, which you see behind me, to edit footage. Unfortunately, I can only use my laptop because Final Cut Pro is only for Mac.
Yeah, sometimes I consider it from time to time switching over to Final Cut, mostly because the export times over there look really good. You know, when I'm spending sometimes 2 to 4 to 8 hours exporting some stuff on Premiere, I'm seeing stuff like that export on Final Cut like 30 minutes. It's just crazy. Yeah, that's the main attraction factor.
For now, the answer is no, and that's only because I really enjoy using Final Cut Pro, and based on what I've heard and, you know, my own experience using Premiere Pro, that software seems to be a very challenging software to use. It crashes every now and again. It takes up a lot of time for you to export a video. It's just a whole lot.
Because I'm loyal, I stay true. Just like, you know, I'm an iPhone user now, even though I wasn't a couple of years ago. Just because I feel like I'm quite competent at Adobe Premiere Pro, and I just don't want to have to go relearn or go understand a whole different editing software right now. I'm an Adobe youth right now.
I've actually done some editing with it, and I realized that to export from Final Cut Pro, it's easier to, you know, change up the format to get exactly what you want. So I could export the format that fits Instagram best, which is where I do a lot of posting. So I really like that. And if I want to do any other things, I also like the titles in Final Cut Pro. I like the feel that I get from it, and I like how maneuverable it is to use Final Cut Pro. It's almost instant, it feels easy, and I like that.
It actually has crossed my mind many times to switch to Final Cut based on, you know, hearing how good it is with reliability and like less crashes and stuff, you know, how the memes with Adobe goes. But yeah, I've heard that, you know, Final Cut is very easy to work with, and it's pretty efficient, and you can get your editing done fairly easy on it. I probably would, but I'd probably have to give it more, time, you know, to fully decide if I'd want to.
I have considered switching over, but not to Final Cut. I've considered switching over to DaVinci Resolve, simply because I aspire to be a colorist, and from what I've seen, DaVinci Resolve has the most, I would say the most, what's the word I try to look for? DaVinci Resolve has the best editing features in terms of being very selective in how you use the coloring tools. So if I want to add specific things to the midtone, shadows, highlights, I can do that and have the flexibility to do as much as I want.
For me, I wouldn't switch from Premiere Pro to learn Final Cut. Then yeah, maybe I'll learn that one day and have it as a second skill. But for me, I wouldn't switch right now just to say I want to use Final Cut unless I learn that it's way better. But I wouldn't switch.
I wouldn't consider switching over. I have tried to use Premiere Pro when my laptop was done. I tried using it on a Windows computer, and after that experience, I decided that first of all, the render time, it takes too long, boo. I needed to be rendering in the back, and when I'm done, I'm just ready to export. The process of going through an hour after, I depend that, bro.
I love it. It's an amazing tool, and it's just plain amazing. I love it.
I wouldn't switch from Premiere Pro, or if I would switch from Premiere Pro, it more would be to use Resolve and not Final Cut. Blackmagic Resolve, the reason why I would switch if I was switching to Blackmagic Resolve is that it allows you to do coloring at certain level. You know what I mean? And I don't believe that Premiere allow you to do coloring at a certain level. It allow you to do coloring with Lumetri, yeah, but at certain level you really cannot do that with Premiere.
I'm not really sure if I would switch over to Final Cut yet. You see, because I use so many of the other programs in the Adobe suite, you know, the After Effects. I'm not really a heavy user of After Effects because I really can manage to get almost anything I want in Premiere. But you know, Audition, Photoshop, and of course just the ease of use of jumping in between all of those to add all of the ingredients to your pot, which is the edit that you're cooking. Yeah, that's definitely why.
Alright, listen, you see, you hear all of that, so much different information from like different individuals from different parts of the globe. You need to just understand, say, yo, any program will work for you. So not because the guy that use Final Cut Pro and you hear say yo is a dope program. Try it for yourself. A brother that use DaVinci, try it for yourself. You're not gonna know anything we can get the job done. Just deal with it, isn't me? For me, Final Cut or Premiere Pro, I use both of them. I want to try DaVinci soon. Nothing wrong if you just open your mind to other programs, isn't me? Don't be stuck to one. So next time we'll talk about this. I'm out.